get too mad, there's no controlling
Ladies and
me. My
gentlemen,
thoughts
just in
get
case
so
you
bad
live
in
under
life.
a rock,
I might
you
grab
are
a
looking
bat, I
at the
don't know. My
youngest
rap, my
and
blood
fastest
boils
rising
over
star
like.
in
Oh God, here
professional
goes. I
wrestling
lost all
today.
feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough.
I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face just to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you was just a fuck up real bad. Shut up. Be the villain! And I have no problem at all, because I couldn't care less if you like me or not. I'm here for success, and there's no one more successful than Grayson Waller.
Yeah! Let me talk to you! War game.
Salute everyone. Let me talk to you indeed. Welcome to the Heal the Ring podcast. I'm your host, BX Sport JEDI Kev. My partner Jay is not in today. He's working. He's of course, I'm recording this podcast here. It's not a review show. It's a little video that I want to make myself here, asking the question: why has the WWE NXT crowd turn on Bron Breakker today's subject? It's Bron Breakker. I see there the current NXT World Champion, and he's over 317 days, excuse me, as World Champion for NXT. We saw him defend it on Vengeance Day against Grayson Waller. We saw also New Year's Evil that defense. A lot of the crowd not enamored with Bron Breakker. So I'm asking the question: why has the crowd turned? And I've been thinking about it because me and my wife are one of the few who are Bron Breakker fans. You know, I get what the WWE with Shawn Michaels are trying to do and build here with Bron Breakker. He is a force to be reckoned with. He is one of the new baby faces. He checks the boxes except for the promos. He needs to work on his promo. That with time, but also his father wasn't a great promo cutter himself. You know, there are just hardworking wrestlers, good professional wrestlers. Scott Steiner is a different animal. We saw when he became the Big Papa Pump persona, he was just took his promo skills to another level. I don't know but then Braun, if he acts like Scotty, is he says now he's copying his uncle's gimmick. So I actually appreciate that Bron Breakker stopped using the Steiner recliner. I know he won his title against Ciampa last year on New Year's Evil with that move, but we don't haven't seen him use that finish in quite some time. Pretty much out of his repertoire. He gets you with the slam, the slam into or the spear with Bron Breakker. He's becoming his own, and I was pondering and thinking, why has Bron Breakker sour on a lot of the folks that go to the performance center? We hear sometimes the Bron Breakker sucks chant, or the bark, the little doggy bark. And listen, fans can root or cheer for whoever they like, and who don't like. It's not. This is not an attack on any of the fans at NXT or any of the fans out there reviewing the show, or podcasters or anyone that's watching it. You're entitled to your own opinion, and I'm just trying to see why. Because here is a kid who's only 25 years old. Um, you know, Young face of the company type pillar for NXT here. They're building him up. They're building something here. They're building a resume, and he maybe there's some resentment with maybe the fan base or maybe some of the performers or whatever the case is that Braun, since he's a second generation wrestler, has some doors open for him. Of course, son of a legendary tag team Hall of Famer, the nephew of another tag team Hall of Famer and single star. But let me peek the curtain back a little bit on Braun Breaker. Be honest with you, he was a really good professional athlete. Where in college he did, and one thing I respect about Braun, he could, and of course he didn't use his dad's clout to open doors for him. He could have easily went to Michigan, and he went to Kewan State University. Now, the kid is a smart kid because he majored in criminal justice. So this is not a average meathead or what you call a meathead or just a knucklehead. This kid is smart. He opens up his own path. He goes to Kewan State, undrafted goes into the Baltimore Ravens. Didn't make the NFL. Decided then got into the wrestling business. Like a lot of these wrestlers, you saw that with Dwayne Johnson as well. You know, I got to give Braun a lot of credit here. He works his butt off. He looks the part. Look at his look. He is built like a powerhouse. Regardless of what you want to say, if he sounds like Goldberg, looks like Goldberg, or whatever the case is. He's Braun Breaker. He's this modern day athlete now that we have in wrestling. And there's not that many baby faces. Listen, everyone hated John Cena. The John Cena sucks chant. Super Cena who just squashes careers of different wrestlers and beats this. Like, oh my God, Cena again with the world title. You remember all the people complain about John Cena, and now when the guy doesn't wrestle just once a year, everyone's losing their nuts. Be honest with you, I'm sorry to sound a little vulgar. Everyone's losing their marbles when he's going to wrestle a night in Tampa. The number says for itself, sold out crowd, people, the ratings. And now, oh my God, Cena, one more match. Oh, we want to see Cena. Before you hated him, couldn't stand him. And the guy, all he did was give you hustle, loyalty, and respect. And we were booing him, as a, and I always never um, was again. I love John Cena. I could watch Cena wrestle forever. Braun Breaker. Call me a mark. I don't care what you want to call me. I like the baby face. I grew up in the Hulkamania area. I love the Hulkamania. Eat your prayers. Eat, say your prayers. Eat your vitamins. Look at that. How much of a Hulkamaniac I am. I grew up in that nostalgia. I like that. I like the baby face overcoming the heel. I like the story with it. But the issue here is we should be really not mad at Breaker. We should be bothered why the booking or the storyline that they put Braun Breaker in. You know, he comes up, he beats LA Knight his first night on NXT. He loses on Halloween Havoc to Champa. Then he beats him in November. He becomes champion, loses again, and he gets the title on in New Year's Evil. And the way he goes, I think what we really got to ask the question is here: are we putting Braun Breaker as the poster child at NXT 2.0? Remember, this is the time where Vince McMahon took over the NXT reigns from Triple H. Of course, he had that health scare, and they rebanded. They took away the black and gold, and they went into the neon with NXT 2.0. A lot of fans had a lot of pushback, did not like it, and I feel that Braun Breaker is the face of that black and of that color explosion 2.0, where we associate him because he was the champion there in that transition. Yes, there was other champions we saw, but while they went back to the white and gold, we could call it, after this rebranding, or some people in the performance center will call it 3.0, which is the white and gold rebranding here. We have new champions roll over. We have a North American champion now. Wesley, you could say, is the face of the white and Gold brand were, doing a phenomenal job. Wesley with that North American title. We have seen the tag team titles change from Pretty Deadly back to New Day had a run. Now Gallus Boys are the tag team champions. The women's tag team champions, Katana and Chance Carter, are now were tag team champions. They took it away from Toxic, who you could have said was the 2.0 version of that. And now we got the white and gold and now we have Kiana and Fallon as tag team champions. My point is now even Roxanne Perez, as a, Mandy Rose was dropped. Whatever situation happened, whatever the case was. Now Roxanne Perez, you can say, is the new women's champion of the white and gold. And we have not. The only common denominator is we have not changed the men's. And I think the crowd, and of course Grayson Waller, phenomenal heel. I'm using him on my introduction video as you hear it. I love Grayson Waller, what he brings as a heel. He's too much of a strong heel for a Braun Breaker at this time in their career paths. Remember, Grayson Waller is close to almost 10 years older than a Braun Breaker. Of course, the age, the wisdom, the experience in life. Waller was going to run, of course, it's going to run circles around a Braun Breaker, and it showed there from the promos, from even the interactions with them. Um, Braun is just almost too nice, too respectful in that ring, where Braun has to show a little bit of a mean side. I know he wants to stay that super baby face, ultra baby face, and maybe it doesn't look good to us, the older crowd. Remember, Performance Center is mostly a lot of older crowds. It's not you rarely see a lot of young kids there unless the time when schools are off because it is a rough night. It is a Tuesday night. There is school, especially if you got to go to, especially if you want to get good seatings in the performance center. And some of these folks are there at 9 in the morning, and they're there at 9, 10 o'clock, 11 a.m., and they're there in line. And those are ones that you normally see in the front rows. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, to each his own. You woke up. Early bird gets the early worm. My point is, it's not a lot of. It's not the performance center. Not a lot of kids could go. In the summertime, you do see more kids going, but a lot of times they go on. Parents go away on vacation. Whatever the case is, not a lot of youths in there. And I believe the NXT brand is catering for the superstars of tomorrow. And also, they're trying to keep and you don't really see, they keep it simple. They keep it really simplicity with the wrestling and also catering to children. The Wendy Chu character, as you could see there, right on my right side, Wendy Chu. You see a young, you're as a parent. Oh, I don't mind my kids seeing a Wendy Chu with the sleeping time gimmick. Yes, there's certain gimmicks that might be a little bit kind of little rough, but there's some feel good gimmicks like a Wesley. You saw the New Day. You see guys even the Cora Jade when she came used to when she before turning heel with the skateboard. You know, they cater to the young children because remember, they and not to sound cliche from the song, children are the future. They are the future. They're going to be the next generation that's going to be watching wrestling. They're the ones that are going to be either they're going to be interested in the wrestling and continue to support it when they become our age with money, going and watching it, buying the premium live events, going to the arenas, going and supporting with merchandise. And if they don't cater to the young children, they're going to lose a crowd, a generation of young fans. And that's why that's why you build a strong baby face in a Braun Breaker. I know that he might be vanilla, he might be boring to you people, but remember, we only make up a small majority of the audience that WWE wants to target. They want also to have the young kid. Oh, look at Braun. I want to be strong like him. I want to, be. I know that the promos again. He had Braun. Braun. If this ever gets to you, and you know that I'm a huge fan of yours, because when you come out up those stairs in NXT, you looked right to my eyes and my wife when we sit there. When you look right into us, and we always give you the thumb up, and we always support, and we always there, and I'm always going to be a Braun Breaker fan regardless. But you need to work a little more on your promo skills. Get in there, find someone, talk to someone to get you there. You got some good coaches in NXT for those promo skills. Get there. Maybe maybe find a comedian writer. I'm not saying you have to be a joke or a clown maker. But just something to give you a little bit of an edge or something. Maybe you might have to be a tweener. Maybe you might have a little bit of heel tendency with to a certain degree. Maybe you want to talk to your dad and see if he hasn't, he's got a lot of good connections with the wrestlers. Ric Flair is around. He has a Legends contract. He's a promo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Jimmy Hart, he loves the business. Give Jimmy Hart a call. Hey, listen, give me the art of a promo. Help me out. I believe Devon is still in the Performance Center. I believe he resigned. Another one. Devon and Bubba Ray, Bully Ray, you could have access to them. Give a call. Cut the art of promos. Phenomenal promo cutter. I know that they're usually, especially Bully Ray, is a heel in cutting promos, but you need someone who could tell you who is going to want to show you how to captivate a crowd, and just talk about yourself there, Bron. Your experience, how you worked without getting doors open. Be a little bit touch to the fan base about your story. And I think Braun is on that. I think the crowd booing and not behind him is getting to him. I hope I'm wrong, but you could tell it's irking him and it's bothering you. And you have to have a little more thicker skin. I'm not, it doesn't. You could tell it bothers. And I understand what WWE is doing with Braun Breaker, guys. If they don't build this babyface into a super champion with longevity as a world champion, carried NXT, long range champion, and larger than life persona as a babyface, because it's easy to be a heel and get all the heat because you're negative. Everyone negativity is the most easiest thing to come about. You could be negative, you could be mean, you could be heel, you could get under people's skin easy. But to try to win over and have everyone feel good and win over a crowd, that's the most toughest, greatest task, and in professional wrestling, that's even greater. And they're building Braun Breaker so when he does go to the main roster, they could show his credentials or what he did at NXT. He was one of the longest reigning and men's NXT champion. They could go with that, over 400 plus days at NXT champion. Son of the Hall of Famer Rick Steiner. You know, Tremendous athlete, so and so. There's a building a resume when he comes to the main roster. He makes a big splash. Remember, also, I don't know why folks want to rush him up to the main roster. He's only 25 years old. 25 years old, the young man. He is extremely young still. He could still use work on his microphone, tune up. He does look in ring ability. What a great wrestler! From the Frankensteiner, to move with all that muscle, that muscular. He does moonsaults. He does flips outside the ring. He picks and chooses spots. He does the Frankensteiner. There is ability. There is a good wrestler in Braun Breaker. He goes up to the main roster. He's gonna get lost in he's gonna go in an extreme back of the line where you have guys like Austin Theory, who hasn't even scratched the surface yet. Seth Rollins is still a main eventer. He's still got at least 5 strong years of Seth Rollins. You got guys still up there who could still hold a main event. Sami Zayn getting some heat and moving up in the main event spot. You're gonna have Braun Breaker mid card, not even or take some pins, look and lose heat from the fan base, where he could just still continue to be dominating in NXT. It's just got to be right now. They just need heels to book Braun Breaker so much stronger. Listen, Braun Breaker, when he won the NXT title over Tommaso Ciampa, I think they should have exploited a little more with Santo Escobar, not beat him in vengeance and moved away. I know Ziggler came out and Ziggler gave him a run for its money. A veteran is Dolph Ziggler. That was the most memorable feud you could really say Braun Breaker had until this current time right now. After Ziggler, he lost the title and Stand Deliver. He won it the next night on Monday Night Raw. Then after that, he took off. The feud with Joe Gacy, it was a very, very vanilla. It was lukewarm. It was to the point where I know what Gacy tried to do, try to abduct his dad, incorporate his dad in it. Showing a little adversity, a human side of Bron Breakker, but WWE had so much things going on with creative, with Vince, and all the turmoil, and it wasn't clear cut. The attention on us, instead of following that storyline in NXT, we were more worried about the storyline outside of the wrestling world. And I think it hurt that Joe Gacy Von Breakker feud that went for a few months, almost 3 months, most of the summer, and then of course the unification of the titles when the UK brand of NXT went away. Hell of a match there in Worlds Collide. Tyler Bates, Braun Breaker. That was a good. That was one of the greatest matches out there. That year in NXT. To be honest with you, and then of course they get that rebranding back to white and gold, away from all the color schemes, the splattered paint where everyone loved. And I think people still associate Braun Breaker with that logo. And Braun hasn't had that heel to challenge him because after Tyler Bates, you had JD McDonough. McDonough, let's face it, he is a hell of a wrestler, but lacking promo skills. Neither guys could cut a promo that will make you want to stop, and not go to the kitchen, not go get a drink, not go get some chips. You need these guys to promo. Ron is on the mic, or any he's gonna who's gonna I'm gonna wait. Let me sit here. I'm not moving because I don't want to miss a back and forth exchange. You had that with Grayson Waller, but Grayson Waller. Let me ask this: Grayson Waller becomes NXT World Champion. What next? What are we gonna book with next? There is no babyface in NXT ready to take that or being a threat as a world champion right now in NXT. And that's you look at creative for not building that next baby face because right now the North American champion is busy right now with that defending that title and he's doing a hell of a job becoming North American champion. Wesley is just the next baby face in that company and right now he's gonna there's no reason to take that title away from him. He is excelling. He is doing phenomenal work. And the NXT World Champion will come. And give it about another year. I could see Wesley, the NXT World Champion. But right now, he is locked in that mid card title and doing a hell of a job. His matches are must see. He's making, just like Carmelo Hayes, and I'll talk about him in a second. Carmelo Hayes becoming was the one of the greatest North American champion in NXT history. To be honest with you, and he's him. He has the it factor. Right now, Wesley's on that same trajectory, and now we got to Carmelo Hayes. Now I mentioned him, and Carmelo Hayes stand and deliver is going to be Braun Breaker's biggest obstacle. Now we just gotta hope they could get us involved, invested, or can't wait, must see TV between these promos. I know we got right now a roadblock, literally. We got Jinder Mahal challenging Braun, and that's going to be good for Braun personally. Jinder Mahal, former world champion, he's got the size, he's got the look. He looks like an obstacle, a threat for Braun Breaker, and it's going to help him take that level, make Braun Breaker beat a bigger guy, not just a Von Wagner. You got now Jinder Mahal. He goes in there, has a nice program, beats him. You could even have Indashare just triple team Braun, and if you want to prolong it for a couple weeks until Stand and Deliver, then have Braun come out look like just totally annihilate Jinder Mahal. Phenomenal. Then now Carmelo Hayes, you address it. You set up for Stand and Deliver. That's going to be your biggest blockbuster box office match between Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, two of the young guys in NXT. And of course, if you want to have Braun drop the title to Carmelo Hayes, there you can. Although personally, I think Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are ready to go to the main roster. They're more ready personally than Braun Breaker right now. And I go, why? Why not Braun go up and wouldn't Carmelo Hayes get lost in WWE with all the same folks that you mentioned? Um, I'll say no. The reason why Carmelo Hayes, you bring him up to the main roster from day one. You bring him with Trick Williams. They come out, they'll interrupt, cut a promo, or even have Trick Williams just announce with him. He comes out, I'm the greatest, and they cut the promo, and then they start their next feud. He could just go from day one and work his way up right now in even whichever brand, SmackDown or Raw, go after a Matt Cass Moss. You could go after a Matt Cass Moss. You could even interrupt a Mustafa Ali. Start that there. We saw the great matches with Ricochet, but I think that will happen. That will be down the line with that the next feud. We'll run it back. And no, and Ricochet could kind of say, "This is my turf now. Now we're in the big leagues now." And you could have that. That could be a SummerSlam match. You saw how they did in Worlds Collide match, banger, or 5-star match. You have that on a SummerSlam platform. My goodness, there's and then you keep them. Then he threatens the Intercontinental title, dare I say, or United States title. You could put phenomenal matches with Montez Ford. You could even go up against the Street Profits and Trick Williams. There's so many things you could do because they could cut promos. They come up together as a pair with Trick Williams wreaking havoc in the main roster. Whereas as Braun Breaker, you bring him up, he's gonna get lost. Not unless, and of course, you're not gonna turn him heel. Everyone's like, why don't you turn Braun Breaker heel? It's easy to be a heel. He go up there, you put him with a manager, he'll be, I hope he doesn't turn into another version of Veer Mahan. I'm afraid that will turn out with Braun Breaker. He'll be Veer Mahan, but in the main roster, if they go up there with a gimmick or the manager and or Rusev. He's a big guy, strong, and you're gonna bring Cora. Then you're gonna be forced to bring Cora Jade up and what? And that's why I'm afraid Braun is so much talented. He needs the seasoning in NXT, and us as fans, we gotta um, let him perform. Let them allow him to mold him. He's being molded in front of us, and of course, I don't like. No matter who they put up there as the champion, it's not like I'm pretty sure Ziggler had a lot of doubts. Oh, this guy, we know what his career is. Why is he holding the title? And again, the same thing we heard with Mandy Rose. She's not that. There's always going to be naysayers who do not like the certain wrestler holding the strap. Do Grayson Waller deserves an NXT World Championship? He will look great as the NXT World Champion. But what next? That's the question. See, when these creators and writers sit in a room and they say, okay, all right, let's get this title, but then they have to plan out long-term booking. Now, what's next for? You're gonna want to see Grayson Waller and Apollo Crew again? Really? I mean, is that going to move the needle? I know you said, well, Braun doesn't. Braun is boring. Braun is not boring. Braun is telling a story. They're building a storyline with Braun Breaker. Like it or not like it, like him or not like it. When you see at the end of the day his trajectory, there's going to be an example there. How do we know that it's not Tony D'Angelo coming out and finally getting the NXT title away from a Braun Breaker? Listen, everyone that loses to Tony D'Angelo ends up on the main roster. He's like the boogeyman of the NXT, or the final test that you graduate people by beating them. Tony D'Angelo goes and beats a Braun Breaker, becomes NXT World Champion, and Braun now is gone, main roster after the night after um, one of their pay-per-views, one of the premium live events in the summertime. You could see that, Bash of the Beach or whatever the case is. They Great American Bash. That could happen. And it's not going to happen. Stand deliver. The big money match, personally, I think it's Braun, Carmelo Hayes. If that happens, you guys are going to be disappointed. I think it'll be Braun Breaker winning and beating Carmelo Hayes, and then the next night we'll see Carmelo Hayes on Monday Night Raw with Trick Williams making their Raw debut, coming onto the main roster. Personally, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Braun is still going to tell a story. I think he'll lose the title. Personally, I think it'll be to Tony D'Angelo in the summer, and then that's when we'll see Braun make his reappearance at either SummerSlam or SummerSlam or in Survivor Series. Personally, that's just me. I'm just thinking that I still think he has another 6 to 8 months in the NXT. Again, there is no rush there for a Braun Breaker, and I think that's the reason why I think folks are turning heel or are turning against Braun Breaker. I think they associate him with the old 2.0. And I just gave you my arguments, my thoughts there. I agree with you guys that his promo is not that strong. I agree with you guys, but there's a story being told with Braun Breaker, and we just gotta wait. It might be a couple of chapters in the story in the book that we might not like, and we got a couple. We probably got another one or two more chapters before they finish it, and I know, oh, this chapter is one of the bad part of the. I didn't like this chapter of the story. Maybe that's where you're at with Braun Breaker, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying Braun Breaker. Personally, I am a fan. Again, I can say it. I cannot deny I'm a fan of Braun Breaker, whatever, call me a mark, whatever the case is. But that's what it is with Braun. Hopefully, it doesn't turn to where creative feels obligated and makes a southern shift to please fans, because no matter what, if you try to please the fans, you'll end up not getting over. You start losing viewership. You know, look at if you're making so much changes. If this is one thing, as much as we harp or dislike or whatever adjective, whatever verb, whatever you want to call what you didn't like, thought about Vince McMahon, even if you like it or not, will still go will go with his own creative thoughts. We might not have liked it. Some of you might not have liked it, might hate it. Oh my God, Vince is killing wrestling. But we all kept watching. We still kept intrigued. We still kept following the WWE for many years. Some of us might have got disconnected for a little bit, but we always return back to the WWE. Always come back and watch. I think the WWE would always have that. Go do your creative. Don't listen to the fans, because when you start listening too much with the fans, yes, you got to give the fans something because they are the paying customer. Yes, but you cannot book or create a whole storyline with fan related or to please every fan member, because you're going to not make sense and the fans will turn on you like that. Look what's going on with All Elite Wrestling. They want to please everyone. They, keep. I could give an example. Swerve and Keith Lee were tag team champions. People were going crazy for the Acclaim. Oh, we gotta get, and they didn't win. Oh, the uproar. They went the following week. They gave the titles back. They gave the titles to the Acclaim, and that sounds like a great idea. But where's Keith Lee and Swerve now? They're doing nothing. And of course, we're starting to see that. We're probably going to see that with the Gun Club. Crowd was upset. Acclaim lost. They're having a premium live event or pay per view coming up in a couple of weeks. Wouldn't be surprised and it's a rematch too. The whole card is going to be all rematches, by the way. And you probably get the Acclaim getting the titles back. And then why? Because the fans uproar, and that's not how you can't do business as that. One thing is, if you want to be heels, you got to build heat, momentum. You want people to draw to tune in to see who's going to defeat this. That intrigue, that aura, like that invincibility, that obstacle. Like, oh, I can't wait to see someone finally. That's why the Roman Reigns story works. We don't know who is going to take that world title away from Roman Reigns. Is it going to be a Sami Zayn? Is it going to be a Cody Rhodes? Is it neither? Could I see a scenario where Cody comes up short in WrestleMania? Remember, anything can happen with this creative. So my point is, let's get there. Let's let Braun's story develop, and once he's gone, then we'll see. Oh, you know what? Maybe this wasn't a good title run. It happens. There's some guys that their title runs weren't memorable. Drew McIntyre's title run, I didn't like it. I stopped watching wrestling. To be honest with you, I turned it off. I wasn't a fan. I'm going to be honest with you, totally honest. I stopped watching WWE. I just didn't appease me, didn't draw me, and maybe that's where you're at with Braun Breaker as well. But we waited. Well, what's Drew McIntyre's story that they told? It turned me off. But his story was he was the champion during the pandemic. Lashley was also a champion during the pandemic. They carried Bailey. They carried. Their story was they made these stories. They built something with the Hurt Business and Lashley's and Drew McIntyre from being the chosen one and coming back and becoming champion. Those stories took, and now we could go back and look at that. Oh, this is why this went. It was a redemption story. That's why we have to wait for the Braun Breaker story to come to a conclusion. Then you make a determination, and you didn't like it, or oh, I understand what they're doing here for the later good. So remember, everybody hated Roman Reigns when Roman Reigns went to WrestleMania, beat the Undertaker when Undertaker put his gloves on the middle of the ring. Remember that everyone hated Roman. They booed him against even when The Rock tried to put him over. So not all the time the baby faces always get over. You don't you gotta take time. People start appreciating them once you don't see them anymore. When they start wrestling less, and then you're like, oh man, look at Cena, boy in case Cena. So so that's my theory, my thoughts on why the NXT universe has sour on a Braun Breaker. We'll see. Only time will tell for that. Now, the heel of the ring here, I want to come up with a little news and notes, little rumors. Of course, the big free agent out there for all wrestling companies is Jay White. Jay White lost his match in New Japan, and now they're saying WWE has reached out front runners to sign a Jay White. Of course, AEW still Impact Wrestling, kicking the tires. Don't be surprised if anyone, you know, comes calling like Tony Khan will throw a lot of money. Although the numbers, he's got to secure that TV deal. I would if I'm them, I'm trying to hold off to see maybe big time name that will move the needle. If you're Tony Khan, it has to be someone from the WWE. To be honest with you, I don't think Jay White was going to help you boost that ratings to 2 million, 1.5. But Jay White, and I think it's funny because AEW needs that wrestler to pull that and pull people in. But meanwhile, WWE doing some good numbers really don't need to really could it really won't hurt bringing in a Jay White. It's going to increase it, yes, but not to the point where AEW needs right now a grand slam. WWE just needs a base hit or double, and I'm not saying Jay White is a base hit or double. Jay White is a freaking home run because he's phenomenal, But when you're introducing him to the audience of a WWE, that's kind of like a double, a base hit for the WWE and especially the AEW crowd. They're the hardcore. For them, that's just gonna be a infield single for Jay White if he comes to AEW. Personally, I think he'll get lost there. He's not, he's I, you know, I don't know. I don't know what Jay White and AEW and Impact Wrestling. That's a grand slam for Impact Wrestling. A Jay White. You bring a Jay White into Impact. That's talk about a grand slam. That's a grand slam because that's a credibility, a face of the company. Josh Alexander taking on Jay White. That's something there. That's box office. You want to talk about just around that premium pay-per-view between those two, and then you have the knockout champion Nikki J. It looks like Marvanovic is going to wrestle her. So that's two women. Those two alone. You still got Bully Ray working in TNA Impact with another storyline maybe against Tommy Dreamer or whatever the case they're doing. You got Frankie Kazarian. You got names there in Impact. I think a Jay White will do greater if he doesn't go to WWE. I believe Impact will be a much more stronger company and will benefit more with a Jay White. But we'll see with Jay White. Also, we got some names there. Could there be a return, possibly with a Kota Ibushi? We saw Kota Ibushi wrestled in that cruiserweight classic for the WWE. He also said he would like to come to the WWE, and if he's allowed to be a wrestler and also part coach in the performance center, help the young talent in that style of wrestling. It'd be interesting there. 2-for-1 deal and then there's another rumor going around that Triple H has even a bigger star in mind to sign. Another wrestler, and I want all rumors are pointing towards a wrestler who has not re-signed with his company, has not re-signed, who's going to be a free agent at the end of this month, possibly Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, the New Japan Wrestling United States champion, current champion, is possibly a free agent. We all know the influence Cody Rhodes has there, especially if Cody Rhodes is going to be dealing with the bloodline storyline, and he's part of it already. If Roman Reigns um, retains, where the bloodline interferes. We're going to see tomorrow night on Elimination Chamber. You could start bringing in some elite. Cody bringing in some reinforcements. Maybe a Kenny Omega. I don't think the Bucks will go. Bucks is also a free agent, but I don't know if they will join them. You also have FTR free agents out there. Toma Tonga out there as well. Talked about the WWE contact him, coming to contact him and have an interest there. So it'll be interesting here. WWE's looking to sign some wrestlers, trying to continue to put their foot on the throat. Right now, you see the numbers on both Raw, SmackDown, very much increasing. Good time to be a wrestling fan. Also, you see the numbers declining on All Elite Wrestling. Especially Dynamite. Rampage is going hard nose tank down. They still haven't have a TV deal. They've got a lot. They have a bloated, massive roster in AEW, and Triple H now with the Virgins of Cell of the WWE, and all the billions of dollars is bringing in with all the big stadium shows. The two TV shows, branding, and most of them coming up and down, and part of NXT as well. Could they try to go for the jugular and just destroy All Elite Wrestling? Um, you never know. This is especially when the owner goes out and says that, Tony Khan says that they're at war with WWE. So don't poke the bear. If the bear is not are really going after you, don't poke the bear. Don't say you're at war, because you're doing it to the wrong person. Didn't you forget Triple H was the one who went with the tank to to WCW and actually knocked on the door on live TV, on a wrestling war? Why did you do that, Khan? That was a foolish mistake. You say you're at war. Say no, we if there's a good time to be a wrestling fan, would have been the perfect thing. No, there's plenty of bread to eat on the table for all of us. That would have been perfect. But no, you had to go say that you're at war, and now Triple H, you talked to the wrong person. Triple H and Shawn Michaels, my guy with Road Dogg, and now you got Regal, who was on the other side now, on the other part of the team that you trying to declare war to. Khan, that was a huge mistake, especially when you have your VP's contract up in Omega and the Bucks. We saw, there's still uncertainty with CM Punk. There's still so much, you're a Ring of Honor you making an app just for Ring of Honor. You don't have an app or a TV deal yet with Dynamite or Rampage, and you got so much to worry about in house than to worry about calling out and saying you're at war with the rival wrestling company. That was such a foolish mistake there. I wish I know if you would have. I know you're a smart man because you're the analytics for the Jaguars. You run the analytics department, so you have to know numbers and pretty intelligent. Hopefully, although the Jaguars, look at them, they haven't won in a long time. But at the end of the day, boy, I know you're regretting saying those comments. But that's the rumors and notes there. Don't forget, Elimination Chamber will be. We'll have a watch along for the Elimination Chamber. Hopefully, I don't believe Jay will join me. Possibly, I think he works that night. We haven't done any reviews because of work schedule for Jay, and also I've been doing other videos. So Jay, of course, will be back to the wrestling reviews with my partner Jay. And guys, well, thank you guys here. Again, we appreciate it. Thank allowing me to vent or talk or give you my opinions on Braun Breaker, but we shall see with the man, the myth, the legend, Braun Breaker there. Let me leave you one more picture before I go. That's my main man. That's me there. Braun Breaker, Worlds Collide. That's producer Pete. That's Pedro. We were all with Braun Breaker, so we were, we're like Braun. So it is what it is, man. Don't forget, hit that like, subscribe. Um, Follow us on all the social media platforms, BX Sports Jedi Network. Don't forget, first and foremost, you got to check out Trick Williams Comedy. Tricky and Ain't Easy. It is hilarious. You need to check it out. WWE, Trick Williams. He has a sitcom on his YouTube channel about his life story there. It's a comedy story. It is hilarious from all the different actors, up and down. John, Cleveland, Diamond. Oh my goodness, the oh, it is the most funny. There are four episodes in deep. It is you see a lot of WWE NXT wrestlers in the program. It's good. Let's support. He's doing something funny. He's trying to build a comedy, trying to do a sitcom, And if you're in NXT and anyone who can hear this program, please support it. Go out there, hit that like button, show the love to Trick Williams. And he is doing funny and good things, and he's got good kids working on that program with him, be doing that comedy and doing something positive. I love to always support something positive, funny, and clean, wholesome. It's comedy, it's good, it's humor, and it's good humor. It's not stanky, it's not trashy, it's funny, it's just hilarious. You guys need to check it out yourself. Be your own critic, but of course, support my man Trick Williams and John Movie Mania and Cleveland, and Vic. My goodness. So thank you guys again. This is BX Sports Jedi Network. If you ain't down with the Heal the Ring podcast, we have 2 words for you. Just subscribe. Peace.
Awesome! You people bought a ticket to see me, so shut up!
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you live under a rock,
I might grab a bat, I don't know, my rap, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough.
I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face just to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you was just a fuck up real bad. Shut up. Be the villain! And I have no problem at all, because I couldn't care less if you like me or not. I'm here for success, and there's no one more successful than Grayson Waller.
Yeah! Let me talk to you.